Welcome to the 2023 Düsseldorf Boat Show, where behind me is one of the biggest boats at the show. This is the new Sanlorenzo SD90. Now, the boat itself was first revealed at the Cannes Boat Show, but we never managed to get on board, so this is the first chance to give you the full show round and demonstrate absolutely everything that it's capable of. But one of the nice things about it being at the Düsseldorf show is you can actually see the hull itself. So Sanlorenzo have three different ranges. They have the planing SL range, they have the SX Explorer range, and this is the SD, the semi-displacement range. And as the name suggests, that means that it won't get up on the plane. It is really comfortable cruising at 10 to 12 knots, the maximum around about 14, 15. So traditional round bilge hull design. It has these big stabilizers that keep it steady in a seaway, so you can see that those will tilt up and down, and with the water flowing over them when it's underway, they don't need to move very far. When it's at rest, they have to flap much more aggressively, but even when you're at anchor, that will counteract the natural roll of the waves, make it very stable and make sure you don't get seasickness underway. Now here you can see big underwater exhausts by the looks of things, and then the shaft drives themselves. So very traditional straight shaft. It's actually on V drives, so that the shaft comes out of the engine that way and then reverses back out, and the big P brackets and rudders behind them. But this is all about comfortable long range displacement or semi-displacement cruising. It has a fuel tank around about 13,000 litres and relatively small engines, only about 800 horsepower each, but that means efficient cruising in a range of about 1,200 nautical miles at 12 knots. So let's get on board, have a full look around everything, the crew spaces, the deck spaces, and of course the accommodation, and get a feel for what this beautiful Italian compact super yacht is all about. Now, prices start at about 7.45 million euros ex VAT. By the time you spec it up a bit, it's probably going to add at least another $500,000 to that. But one of the nice things is you get an enormous amount of choice. You can do pretty much what you want with the interior and the fittings and fixtures and so on. So let's get on board and have a look round. Let's get cracking then. So this is the stern of the SD90, and you can see here there's a large tender garage. Now, I'm not able to open that up here at the show, but what you can see is that that whole clamshell lifts up, reveals a Williams 435 jet tender, and that is stationed on its own rolling cradle that slides out onto this hydraulic platform. The hydraulic platform sinks down and the tender launches. So very neat, very easy to do because of that rolling cradle. It all stays as one piece. Now, the teak work is always immaculate on these Sanlorenzos, and you'll get a feel for that when we come on board. But look at the beautiful teak decking as we come up here. Rather than it all running in one direction, we've got these interlocking different angles, this lovely grey caulking in between, and even on this mooring gear you can see that the teak wraps right round in a big curve. So it's almost like the winch and the cleats or jewellery on top of this beautiful teak-clad little bolstered section. It's a very attractive way of doing it. Now, there's a big cockpit. Everything in the way of furniture is nearly all freestanding. There's very little built in. So you have a pretty much free choice of whatever you want to put on board your boat. Obviously this transom bench is part of the structure, but again, look how broad that teak capping is on that. Absolutely gorgeous. But things like these chairs, you can just pick and choose exactly what you want. The tables, the little coffee tables, all completely bespoke. You can choose to have an interior designer to help you out. You can spec it yourself, or you can go with one of the factory standard options if you like. Now, this boat has an interior designer called Patricia Okola, who's done lots of this, and the big emphasis had been using as many sustainable materials as possible. So we'll try and clock some of those as we go through the boat. But let's start here in the saloon Now the first thing you notice is you can see no actual doors. So the big glass doors that you normally see slid over to one side, can't see them at all. And that is because they are all hidden behind this wooden panel here. So they are fairly traditional bifold glass doors, but they slide out all the way over to one side, swing across, and then this American oak cover slides across, slots into place up there, and then the doors are completely hidden. Very clever little trick. The other thing to notice is that there's a staircase up to the Flybridge, which we'll have a look at in a minute, but that is also concealed behind a door, so you can close the whole thing up, and it has that beautiful view from the stern of just that beautiful glass wall, if you like, when it's all closed up. Now this is the semi-displacement model, so you have a really nice wide beam. It's 7 meters wide, and you can really feel that width and that beam here in the cockpit. And the other thing to notice is that even though there's a full-length Flybridge overhang, there are no supporting pillars. I know it's a small thing, but the structure is so strong that it doesn't need the supporting pillars, so it just feels more open. You don't have a big steel or composite support holding the Flybridge up. Let's do a quick scan of the decks while we're here. Now, really wide bulwarks running around, really deep too, but it's the width of them. So you have this huge teak capping on top that really makes it feel particularly chunky. You can see there's a side gate through the side here. Walk all the way along, noticing that there is a door into the galley here for crew. Also, the cutout bulwarks, you can see there's a big glass section in there. So it's got a little bit of shading on there to, again, aid the exterior looks, but it does mean that it is transparent when you're looking through it. And then onto the foredeck with this very minimalistic, thin black wire supports and stanchions. Again, just to keep the look as low and minimalistic as you possibly can. Now here on the foredeck, another unusual feature. This is not the standard foredeck, because what you get is a little sunken area with seats on either side and all the mooring gear and the anchor gear exposed. But what the designer has done on this version is put that all under a teak lid. You can see this cutout here, and that conceals all of it so that you end up with a perfectly flat teak foredeck, which is an extra sunbathing space. So it tucks it all away, conceals it, and leaves it completely free. Now, I know people do like to sunbathe, but it does strike me that there's almost more sunbathing space on this boat than you could ever use, because up here is another huge sunbathing area. Look at that, there's a massive, great sunbed there, littered with scatter cushions too. So you've got one huge one there, more down there, obviously more up on the sun deck too, but we'll go and take a look all around that. Let's just continue the quick walk around to the side decks. See steps down here, doorway through into the saloon and master cabin, and then back down the side. Engine room access, we'll have a look in there at the end of the tour, but let's carry on into the boat for the moment. So here we've got the stairs, one set of stairs up the Flybridge. There is of course an internal access too. But again, look at the beam up here. You've got a full width. So sometimes the Flybridge stops short of the side decks, but in this case it extends right out over the side decks, so you get that full 7 meter beam all the way up here. And again, you can see what I mean about the sun pads. Look at the size of this one. That is a full width sunbed running all the way across that transom area, and you can see there is a glass balustrade there. Now, of course, again, that's very much up to the owner's choice. You could have freestanding furniture, you could have individual teak sun loungers or a couple of coffee tables and sofas. It's entirely up to you. Now, further forward, got the dining table, again, all freestanding, set at a slightly oblique angle, and then with this corner sofa around one side of it. And a couple of freestanding lights as well, but you get the idea. It's completely a blank canvas. You can spec it how you want. You can bring furniture on board. You can change it after a couple of years if you want to. Entirely up to you. Huge wet bar here. Look at the size of that lid. I mean, it's absolutely, I can only just reach it. It weighs a small, I was going to say a small fortune, also it weighs several kilograms, but luckily it's supported on these two gas rams. That takes the weight of it. Very slick, all kind of stainless steel, pop-up taps, a Miele induction grill, lots of storage space. Got a fridge or an ice maker. That's a fridge in there. Obviously you can have ice makers, you can spec whatever you want, but love these solid teak doors on the front of it. And the hardtop overhead, again, like that Flybridge overhang, there are no side supports. It's all supported from these two huge central pillars. And that means you've got no supporting pillars on the corners to get in the way of your view forward or aft, just those two central pillars. There's another matching unit over on this side. This is mostly just storage at the moment, but again, you could spec that out with more fridges or ice makers or whatever you want. And then the outside helm station, fully protected by that hardtop overhang, traditional Sanlorenzo vertical wheel, all the throttles, bow and stern thrusters, two-man engine unit, control units, Simrad screens. But this is really the secondary helm, because just a few steps away indoors is the raised pilot house, but we'll get to that in a sec. A couple of navigator seats, really more likely to be guest seats, to be honest. Just really nice to be able to sit there facing forward, enjoying the view as you make your way along your cruising track. And then into the raised pilot house. This is obviously the main bridge for the captain. It's a 90-foot boat, so you can obviously drive this yourself. It's under the 24-meter regulations, but I think most people will need some form of crew just for the scale of the boat. But really nice, clean bridge design. For relatively small Simrad screens, you could of course spec bigger ones, but a really nice, clean dash area. Just the controls you need, keeps it very nice and clear and simple. Again, those twin thrusters and the single leaning post. Well, it's a seat, but it can tip up and become a leaning post. But the benefit of not having two bigger screens is you do get a really good view forward. A lot of the time on these raised pilot house designs, it feels like you're peering through a bit of a letterbox. But because you're quite well forward, the screen isn't that steeply raked, you haven't got vast MFDs in front of you, you do actually get a very decent view out through those windows. Now let's drop down. You can see there are steps down. Now the port side of the boat is really very much given over to the crew. So you can see there is a door straight out to the side deck from here. And then the galley, again, a little bit smaller on this boat than would normally be the case because the owner has gone for a particularly big walk-in wardrobe. So again, that's one of the benefits of these Sanlorenzos. They're so custom built that you can change the position of some of the bulkheads and the layouts and so on. But you can see we've got storage in here, including a rather nice little wine fridge. All the galley units down the port hand side. There is a window out under here, refrigeration behind here, oven, Miele induction hob, and that leads down to the crew spaces. So let's have a quick look at that while we're here. Got the washer dryers at the bottom of the stairwell, and then there's a compact but still nice to have a little crew mess area, so there is somewhere for them to hang out down here rather than being confined to their cabins. Porthole there, so nice to get some fresh air. And then the cabins themselves, we've got one bunk cabin in here, good storage on both sides. We've got the bathroom in here, another crew cabin forward. This is a kind of double, so you can see it's like a V-berth arrangement right in the bow. And then over on this side, just slightly squeeze in, but you can see there is a second bathroom there. So really nice to have two bathrooms and two crew cabins. Right, let's make our way back up. So moving into the saloon, we've talked about the way those doors fold away. And interestingly, over here, you can see there is another one, a big option, which again is a sliding door on this side. and it just opens the whole space up, so you've got a lovely flow of fresh air throughout the boat. I just wanted to show you this little detail too, a completely circular storage unit suspended from the ceiling and the floor. And you open that up and look at that, there's a little fridge installed in there, so perfectly placed for serving drinks out in the cockpit or the bar. But how cool is that? I think that is probably the most complicated but most beautiful bar area I've seen on any boat of this size. Now, of course, this is all freestanding furniture too, so you can completely choose how you want it. Again, this is Patricia's interior design styling. You've got these beautiful low-level angled sofas that appear to float above the deck. Big, deep carpet, and those huge windows on either side, giving a fantastic view out. And then here more, this is, I believe, recycled glass, so it almost looks like a kind of frozen lake surface or something, but just subtly blue glow from that. So moving forward from the saloon, we get towards the master cabin. Now, there's obviously masses of storage on your way as you go, and there's also a day heads in here. Again, all equipped in that lovely pale American oak. Very cool little lighting feature there too, and that same crushed shell finish for the basins. And then through into the master suite itself. I might just briefly close that door behind me so you can get a feel. This is all private space. So that is that side door out, so the master cabin has its own access out onto that foredeck area. That's a really nice feature. And this is an enlarged walk-in wardrobe. So we've got these sliding twin doors there. Opens up, there's a little lobby area, and then all the wardrobes behind it. I won't peer into all of them, but you get the idea. They go a long way back, which is what restricts some of the space in the galley. Normally, that would be the bulkhead, and you'd have cupboards just going straight in from this little corridor area leading through to the main cabin. Now, the lovely thing about these main deck master cabins is you just get such fantastic light from all these wraparound windows. You can see they're all eye level. They extend all the way around the cabin. So light just floods it in there. Now the bed itself, this is obviously facing astern. You can have it the other way, so it's facing forward and make the most of those views. Slightly depends whether you want more kind of private view facing this way. Now we have got the bulkhead there, and behind that bit there is a TV, which I might just be able to show you. So if I press this button here, is that the right one? Maybe it's that one. There we go. You can just see that just goes in slightly, drops down, and then behind that there is a full flat screen TV. Now that is a pretty cool way of doing it. And then press the button and it does all the same thing again. It looks like you do need to hold the button, but very nice solution of doing that. We've got a desk over on the port side, owner's desk. Just pop that remote control away. And then ensuite bathroom is down a couple of steps in the traditional heads place, if you like. And again, really unusual having that big curved twin sink arrangement. Slightly ridged surfaces there. Beautiful mirrors suspended on poles that move around. And then two fantastic marble light, well not marble because this is this crushed shell effect surfaces, but really modern, really clean, masses of space. It's almost like a hammam. You've got like a bench seat all the way around the shower and a separate toilet compartment too. Very stylish. So this stairwell at the starboard forward end of the saloon leads down into the main guest accommodation. And if we drop down here, you can see that the owner has done something really quite unusual on this boat. Now the standard layout is 4 guest cabins, but here, sorry, 2 guest cabins and a VIP, but here he's decided to change the VIP into a snug zone, a sort of convertible snug zone. So really cool. We've got these two sofas, kind of chaise longue, wrapped around in a nice L shape. They do actually all swing together, and you can create it back into a cabin. We've got pocket doors here that slide across, but leaving it open just makes it feel much more spacious. It's more of a kind of social snug. We can see we've got the bathroom is still here, so you've still got the benefits of an ensuite bathroom. Acts as another kind of day head, but again, got the separate shower and heads compartment. And these doors swing, so those two doors swing shut, so that you can seal off that unit too. But check this out. It looks like, well, all very well having a snug, but what are you going to do down here other than read a book? What you can do is press this button here, and hey presto, a television drops down from the ceiling, and then you can watch your sport or play games or whatever it is that you want to do. But very cool way of concealing that. But yeah, the standard layout, this would be a separate VIP cabin forward. You've got the full beam of the boat, including that ensuite bathroom, and then these two further guest cabins. So we've got one double here, over on the port side, big king-size bed, lovely big window out. Look at the thickness of those topside mouldings. That gives you an idea of just how solid and chunky this build is. Again, we've got one of those drop-down TVs in the bulkhead there. That just drops down and reveals that. And then the ensuite bathroom with these rather stylish twin sliding screens that open up to reveal the bathroom. And again, really nice to have separate cubicles. So you've got the toilet compartment over on this side, you've got the sink in between, and then the shower over on this side. Now, all of these bathrooms are made out of the same composite material, and it's actually made from crushed seashells, all bonded together. So there's this strong focus on trying to use sustainable, natural materials wherever possible, and that's one of them. And in fact, all the deck heads over here, you can see, amazingly, are recycled concrete. Now that sounds a little bit bizarre, but actually it's a really nice kind of matte finish. It's not as hard or scratchy as you'd imagine recycled concrete to be. It actually feels slightly soft, more like a kind of hardboard of some kind, but really clever to actually reuse materials like that. These same very stylish circular bedside tables, and then background here is the second one, almost a mirror of the first. Again, double island berth, exactly the same solution with this drop-down TV, and exactly the same setup with these sliding screens leading to the basin and the bathroom itself. So really quite an unusual setup, but I do think this is such a funky solution. Might be better if you're cruising with a lot of people on board. You might want the privacy of a separate VIP, but I do love the idea if it's your own boat, you've got kids on board, somewhere that they can hang out without getting under the feet of the adults. So let's step back up and see if we can make our way through the saloon and just have a look down in the engine bay. So I said we'd go and have a look at the engine room, and just to remind you where it is, we're on the starboard side deck here with that big pantograph door that swings out, and then checker plate steps leading down into the engine room. And a huge engine room with two really quite small engines. So these are twin 800 horsepower MAN engines. You can see they're on V drive, so the shaft is coming out forward into the gearbox, it then reverses back out under the boat, and that keeps the whole thing really nice and compact. Now this is a semi-displacement hull, so top speed around about 14-15 knots, but it's really designed to cruise at kind of 10 to 12 knots and make the most of the fuel efficiency at that speed. And you should get around 1,200 nautical cruising miles at that 12 knot speed. And of course it means there's lots of space in the engine room to work. You've got full standing headroom, plenty of room above my head, I'm 6'1", and really nice cool space, good lighting. Got a water maker, we've got twin generators on either side. This has CMC electric stabilizers, so there's far less plumbing than would normally be the case because you haven't got all the hydraulic hoses. And then behind there is all the steering gear and access to all that. I'm not going to crawl in there for the moment, but you get the idea. That is the tour of the all-new Sanlorenzo SD90. I hope you enjoyed having a look around the boat. Thank you very much for watching, and do please let us know what you make of it in the comments below.